Welcome back, guys, to the 247 build. Today we got our shipment of Fatsacs. This is our custom bags, our through hulls, our pumps, hoses, lines, hose clamps, everything we need to take this boat to the next level. I'm going to take you guys along with me as we unbox this and check it out. Once we unbox this here, we're going to take our Fatsacs out. We're going to put them in the locations and fill them with air. That way we know everything's ready to go before we, go full bore on this. So Fatsac has these wiring kits. We'll have a package in the description here so you can pick this all up for your boat if you guys have a similar boat, or give us a call. We'll be happy to walk through what you need. But they have these wiring kits with the switch and everything. It's even Fatsac branded. You just plug these right into the pumps, run them right to the dash, to your battery. Everything you need. They can't make it any simpler. So we're putting three pumps in this boat. So we have 3 sets of those. Here's our quick connects to the bags so we can take the bags in and out in the winter. We're living in Minnesota here, so we got to take these things out, winterize the boat, make sure there's no excess water in the boat or in these bags when we put it in storage. We got our custom Fatsacs here, specifically built for the boat. We got the bow, the locker, and the 2 rears. Here's a distribution valve. But we're gonna do something pretty cool in this boat. We're gonna install this valve with an extra hose. So if you want to fill up a sack on the floor in the boat to get some more weight, if you don't have this boat's built for 15 people. So if you're out with 2-3 people, you can take this. You can get the floor sack. Comes in a 500 or 800 pound size. And you can just turn your pump on, you twist this valve, and then you can fill up the sack that's on your floor with the pumps that are already built into the boat. You don't need an external pump or anything like that, and you can really keep filling sacks up to your heart's delight. More of the fittings we need here. The rest of our Fatsacs. It's like Christmas morning here. So here's our through hull kits that Barefoot sends us, Fatsac. You have your brass through hull with the nut on the back. You have your threaded part for the hose barb. And then you always want to install a shutoff valve if you're on the lake for some reason and you got to pull the pumps out or something like that. You want to be able to shut this off so you don't just have water leaking in your boat forever, or God forbid a hose breaks or something happens. You always want to have a safety here to shut this hole off to make sure you don't end up at the bottom of the lake. You got more through hulls here. We got our hose that we need to run to the bags, to the vents. All that. We got our vents. And the pumps we're installing is a Johnson pump, but it's actually the next step up from the ballast puppy that they're putting in a lot of these boats factory. So this is gonna pump about 25% faster than those green impeller puppy pumps that you're used to, just to try to get these bags fuller and get you surfing quicker. And again, just like the wiring, the pump comes with this connector, so you can connect right into the wire harness. Comes with these rubber isolators so you don't hear the vibration as much. And everything you need is in this box. We're gonna set the Fatsacs into their locations, fill them up with air, see how they fit. All right, we're moving right along on this 247 build. We've got the holes drilled through the hull. We've got all our vent holes drilled. Our next step now is to mount the pumps. We have 3 pumps for this boat. And then start running the plumbing and the lines and everything like that. We're putting the The Johnson, similar to the Ballast puppy, but this one's a little bit bigger. It actually uses the orange impeller, so it'll produce about 25-30% faster fill speed. And the way these come is with these loose wires, and then you hook up this fitting into here. Fatsac told us that the next order they're going to get, these will all be wired up, so you won't have to do that. But we're going to show you how to do it just in case you ever have to run into it. And they send you a kit here with the switch. They'll fill an empty switch, the extra line to run. So you have a line to basically run to the dash, so you can plug it into the switch, and then you run another line from the switch to the battery. And they give you the battery lead as well, so you connect these directly to the battery, and that's pretty much it. We'll run the wires, zip tie them up to kind of the rest of the wires that are running around. We'll mount the pumps, run the hoses, connect everything to our through hulls, make sure we're using tape and everything so they don't leak, and we'll walk you through that process. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take these little fittings here, and we're going to strip this wire a little bit. Just to give us a little bit more room to go into there. Go ahead and twist it up. You got a test fit here, just a little bit of wire showing there. Then we're going to go ahead and crimp this to make sure it stays on here good. We're going to do the same thing with the ground. All right, this is a female plug and this is a male plug, so if you just want to make sure your wiring matches up, obviously, with your ground and your power. This is obviously the power, so it's got the fuse in it, so we're going to put the ground into the opposite side. Make sure it kind of clicks in, so you know you're all the way in there. Do the same thing with this side. And then you shove this little wedge in here that kind of holds everything together and makes sure they don't come out. Grab me a screwdriver. So you can see this little orange piece drops in. It's going to hold the pins and hold those kind of where it clipped in. It's going to hold that plug in so that it doesn't fall out, and then we should be good to go on this pump. We have a total of 3 pumps, so we got to do it twice or 2 more times. And just kind of push it in, it clicks in, and you're good to go. So now you have a quick connector here. Make it easy for you. All right, we got all the plugs on the pumps. We got all the rubber grommets on the pumps. We spent some time trying to figure out where to mount them. I'll show you that here in a second, but we're going to get the pumps mounted first, and then we'll run the electrical as I talked about before, and then lastly we will do the plumbing. So as far as the pumps go, let me show you here. You can see on this side that behind the seat right here in the corner we have some room below the fuel line here, and if I go over to this side, you can see that it has this like carpet deal, and that kind of slants back at an angle. It's unscrewed right now at the bottom, just to cover up that kind of area. So we're going to mount the starboard pump on this side as far over as we can here, and the port side pump on that side for these rear bags. And for the ski locker and the bow bag, or the bow pump, we're actually going to mount it on the bottom side of this pocket that's completely useless. It fills with water. I know other 247 owners have a hot water shower. This boat doesn't have that. So we're going to mount it to the bottom of this. We'll drill a hole and put a drain into the bilge so that doesn't fill with water anymore. And you'll still be able to use it in storage. You'll just see 4 little bolts stick out of it. Of course, we're using everything stainless, so nothing ever rusts. But that will give us the ability to take our hose from our through hull, hook it into that, and then we'll run the hose along the side over there up to the ski locker. As I said before, we're going to put a distribution valve in so that you can fill up a floor sack, or any other bags that you might fill up. We'll have a little hose in that underneath the seat right there, so you can turn the valve, you can hook it up to your bag, fill your bag, and then turn the regular pump on and to fill the bags. You'll have no need for any tsunami pumps or anything like that. It's kind of a mess in here right now, but we're going to get to work mounting these pumps. All right, we got all our pumps mounted, all the through hulls drilled, all the shutoff valves connected. Our next step now is to run the wiring. As I said, Fatsac includes the wire harness and the switches that you need. So we're going to take the wiring from the pumps and run them up to the dash, and then run our cables from that point underneath the floor over to the batteries. And then we're picking up a distribution block with 30 amp fuses to kind of run everything cleanly so that we don't have, a ton of ring connectors on the battery just stacked up. Keeps it clean, easy to swap fuses if you ever do blow one, and easy to disconnect the batteries in the off season. So we're going to get to wiring and keep moving on the project. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe. Make sure you catch the rest of the videos, and hit us up if you have any questions. We're here on the 247 build again. We just got the ballast wiring done. As you saw in the time lapse and stuff, it went very well. Super easy plug and play thanks to Barefoot and them sending us Fatsac, and then sending them us the wiring all connected, and we didn't have to make any connections or really do anything outside of hooking those fittings to the pumps. The Amphenol Deutsch connectors onto those pumps. That was really all we had to do termination wise. So we ran the 20-foot wire that they give us from the pumps along the gunnel here on the starboard side up to the dash. We installed the switches into the dash, one for each pump, so we have 3 switches. They are not labeled like port, starboard, or bow or anything. They're just all the same, so we just put the left port side on the left, starboard on the right, and the other one in the center. Figured it would be easy enough. And then after we ran the wiring, to the switch here underneath the dash, we had to go actually down through the floor, kind of through the swim deck where the, you know, the battery cables and all the other wiring runs, to run, you know, the power of the dash and everything, and then up into the battery area. We used a Blue Sea fuse box for hooking all that stuff up, so that we didn't have stacks and stacks of O-ring battery terminals stacked on the battery that just in the past, for me at least, always gets corroded, and you have to unhook them all, sand them all off, put them all back on. It's just a huge pain with all those things stacked up on top of each other. So we decided to get a distribution block, fuse distribution block, so that we can just have it all right there. All the fuses are in one spot, and you can easily open that thing up and see if a fuse is blown and fix it and move on to your way. As you can see here on the dash, you can see the 3 switches. In this boat, it has a ton of switches. So these were just all accessory, and I'm sure if it did have ballast pumps from the factory, these have, you know, something would have been organized with ballast pumps here. You can see they're working, filling empty. Run over here and I'll show you. Here's our Blue Sea distribution block with 30 amp fuses for the ballast pumps, all running directly to the batteries with power and ground. So we are really wrapped up on the wiring side with this boat, for the ballast at least. Again, we're going to do the liquid lumens and the RGB cup holders, and who knows what else we might get into. One thing to note when you're doing this is that depending on how you plumb the pumps, they may be reversed. So they may fill instead of drain, or drain instead of fill. And all you really need to do there, you have 2 options really, I guess. You can redo the wiring at the switch and move things around to make them correct. The easier way to do it is to unplug the connector that I showed you guys we wired up at the ballast pump, and just switch the placement of the wires, and that will reverse it. So we haven't actually tested that yet. We'll just pull a hose off the fill side of the bag, put our hand against it, see which way, see if it's pushing or sucking, to make sure that they're going the right way before we head to the lake. But that is something that you're going to want to watch out for. The biggest thing you want to do is make sure that you're kind of plumbing it the quickest and easiest way. The last thing you want to have to worry about is trying to run a hose, for example, across the boat to, you know, fill it on the other side, because that's the fill side of the pump. You can easily switch that out and make it the way you need it to be. Hit us up with any questions that you guys have throughout this process at all. Hopefully this all helps you guys. Hit like and subscribe, and we're going to keep moving and get this thing on the water. Thanks for watching. Welcome back to the 2006 247 build. Today we are going to run the plumbing for the pumps. So we're going to hook the pumps up to the through hulls. We're going to run our plumbing up to our bags to make sure they fill, and then we're going to run the vent piping out through the boat on the through hulls that we drilled out, and get everything plumbed up. We've got everything wired, everything ran to the battery. Key things that you need when you're running this hose is a heat gun. The stuff's pretty rigid and it can be a huge bitch. Heating it up a little bit on the ends to slip it over to the pump fittings, or the flow right quick connect fittings that we're going to use to the bags. It makes it 1,000 times easier. You can also kind of shape the pipe a little bit with the heat gun. You don't want to put too much heat on it because it'll get soft and it'll kink. But if you just give it a little bit of heat, you can kind of shape the pipe so that it kind of goes the way that you're looking for. So that's what we're going to spend our time doing today. We're going to get that wrapped up and keep moving on the 247. Thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe. Make sure you don't miss anything. welcome back. We're sitting in our Malibu here today finishing up the plumbing. So we've ran everything in the back, that's all done. We ran our hose up here to our distribution valve where we're gonna have that extra hose so that we can fill up a floor sack if you want to add some more weight. So we just need to take it from there and bring it around through the boat to the locker bag and then up to the bow bag. And that requires us to drill some holes through the supports here and through the floor to get to the bow bag and things like that. So we've kind of done everything to that point now. So we're gonna go ahead and start drilling holes and getting the hose ran and get all the plumbing stuff tied up and complete. Thanks for watching. Make sure to hit like and subscribe, and we're gonna get to it. When you're drilling through finished materials, it's always best to drill with a hole saw through both sides. That'll make sure that both sides are nice and clean. Like the carpet will look the best if you do that. Rather than drilling one side, you're gonna kind of push the carpet away from the other side and it might not cut as clean. So try to just drill both sides. It'll give you a better finish. We ran to the hardware store and picked up these plumbing brackets here to screw the hose down. So we're gonna be running the hose kind of all along the inside here. This will let us control where it stays, along with in the back by the engine dividers. We have one there. We wanna make sure it stays out of the engine. So we wanna make sure you use plastic and then stainless steel screws. Make sure nothing rusts or anything like that and creates a mess. Alright, you can see our distribution valve here. So right now we're pumping from the back, running to the ski locker, then the bow. If we turn this valve, we can fill out of this. So we're going to hook a hose up to here, and we're going to put a quick connection on it so that you can fill your floor sack or whatever other bags you might want or have on the back seat or put on the floor or whatever. Since this is such a big boat and and every time you go out you have 15 people, this is a good option to get some extra ballast when you're running with just a couple buddies or your kids or your wife or whatever. Alright, got our quick connect on there. That's done. One more thing off our checklist. Alright, we're back at it on the 247 build. Some footage that we filmed on the plumbing side crashed on us. Our SD card was bad or something. So instead of you guys having live footage of that, I'm going to film a recap, or I'll just show you guys exactly what we did. So here we have our distribution valve, and we have a hose here so that we can use a quick connect fitting on a floor sack and fill it up on the floor here or on the back seat. We can just twist this valve here and open it up and use the same pump that's going to fill our bow bag. We ran from this distribution valve through this wall here, curved it around, have a little bracket here to hold the plumbing in place so that it doesn't get in the way of anything else we're doing. And here we ran, you can see we drilled a hole in the floor. It's an 1.5 inch hole. We have an elbow here. So So that goes and fills into our ski locker sack, which is right here. And you can see a quick connection there. The ski locker on this boat is absolutely massive. So it goes all the way up to the bow. So what we did on this is we put about halfway up, we put a connection so that we could connect from the ski locker into this bow sack. And you see this, we have another elbow here into our quick connect fitting here that connects to this bow bag. And this bow bag is going to then fill up after the ski locker fills up. And it's going to vent right here. This vent runs up into the bow, and then it runs back along the gunwale here to ensure that it doesn't drain underway. And we have it hooked up to our through hull near the driver so that it doesn't drain while we're underway. You can hear it draining or overfilling, so you know it's full. You can shut the switch off. There's no timers in this boat, so you're just gonna have to turn the switch on and off. As you can see, we have our rear ballast bags in here. We designed them to go all the way up into the corner to get a little bit more weight here. And we've also plumbed in our fill right there in our drain, or our overflow, sorry, our vent here that goes to our through hull. Again, we put the through hulls towards the bow so that when you're underway at surf angle, if you put the through hull back over here, there's a chance that the pressure is going to push the water out and drain your bag while you're underway. And we did the exact same thing with the vent here out the side of the boat. Our pumps, again, our bow and ski locker pump is mounted right there, so that picks up under by the V-drive where we drill the through hulls, and it fills and then goes all the way up to the bow. And these other pumps are both mounted on the back of the seat here. As you can see, there's one there. We have one on them both on the port and the starboard side. Those are just screwed into the plastic that's back here. This plastic is strong enough to hold the pumps without having any issue. And we do have enough of a cushion here so that it's not going to poke through or anything like that. We used about 1.5 inch screws there to make sure that everything was solid. So we are done with the plumbing on this boat, and we're going to wrap up the wiring and then get this thing to the next project. Hit like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this helps you guys.